So, Caitlin Clark was nominated for something fairly big. Obviously, if you're in England, this is a huge award.
A single basketball player stands alone as one of the best in the world. This year, Caitlin Clark, an athlete, is the sole NBA player nominated for the esteemed World Sports Award, although this is the twist she faces. Olympic greats and world leaders with the tremendous chances against her are. This is a significant advancement in women's basketball or an unwinnable conflict, and why didn't she even play for the United States Olympic Games?
This is something that if you're an American, it's not like obviously it doesn't have the same meaning, it doesn't have the same relevance, and that's fine. That's completely fine. But if you're not American, this is a pretty big thing.
The nomination of Caitlin Clark for the renowned World Sports Award is being made waves, and rightfully so, as the sole a basketball player who is acknowledged as one of the elite group of athletes from around the world. Inclusion questions the conventions of traditional sports. Acknowledgement of this honor is more than just her amazing talent, is about the qualities she embodies. A turning point for women's basketball in athletics and international sports.
She was nominated for World Sports Personality of the Year. I thought for a second she'd won it, which is kind of mad. And still, like, it's not like anyone can vote for this. You can only vote for this if you're from the UK.
Caitlin Clark. The trip started in Des Moines, Iowa, where from a young age, raw talent was apparent. Basketball was more than just a pastime. It was Caitlin's calling. In middle school was already surpassing more established rivals, gaining her the moniker Iowa. Her skill set as a sharpshooter was incredible. Flawless ball handling, shooting with laser concentration, and an unparalleled Caitlin's ascent to court vision. Being famous wasn't without difficulties.
But if you guys haven't seen it, like, there are plenty of incredible athletes here, but there's only 6 athletes not from Britain in this. Sure, she was nominated as one of these 6.
She entered the circuit of secondary schools with all expectations were high and eyes were on her. By the time she was a sophomore, she was leading her squad and shattering state records to victories and receiving recognition, which put her on the national scouting list. Despite her achievements, radars, Caitlin confronted the skeptics early on, wondered whether her flamboyant, striking style could go on to a collegiate level. Basketball three-pointers that are dangerous and deep. Although the no-look passes were thrilling, they were viewed as impracticable by critics. Caitlin was motivated by skepticism to work diligently to hone her skills She dedicated her time to the University of Iowa. Wasn't just another well-known state signing, it was an announcement that Iowa wasn't unfamiliar with developing basketball talent. However, Caitlin was ready to accept the program to hitherto unheard of heights.
There's not going to be another Caitlin Clark. And you're seeing it now. Like, she is nominated for an award that there's literally 6 athletes in the world. Like, there's no nomination for Jason Tatum. There's no nomination for LeBron after the Olympics. Obviously, there's no nomination for...
The stage of college turned out to be Caitlin's habitat. From when she first took the court as a freshman, she gave evidence of why she was. Caitlin was more than just a scorer. Points in which she was revising the record books. She averaged more than 26 in her first season points per game, a remarkable accomplishment. Her sophomore year was marked by first players as considerably more remarkable, resulting in one of NCAA's most outstanding performances. Caitlin led the country in OA history in assists and points in a nearly unprecedented accomplishment of her special capacity to command all of the game's features. She is an opponent's nightmare and a Iowa fan's treasure, but Caitlin's increase wasn't solely based on her numbers. The intangible characteristic that distinguishes. She created good players from icons. Millions of people watched her games with record-breaking viewership. In collegiate women's basketball, her exciting performances weren't limited to. They were inspiring young people while amusing them. When girls saw Caitlin, they thought they might reach the same heights as the Caitlin's 2023 NCAA tournament became her. The time for it to shine was during this competition, in which she really solidified her. She delivered legacy game after game, astounding performances such as the first in 41-0 triple-double is the focus of the tournament's history, accompanied her as Iowa progressed through the bracket, eventually arriving at her efforts in the championship game weren't discovered. They were honored. The over 9 to 15 million were drawn for the championship game, a startling number of views that was comparable to the popularity of men's games today. Wasn't only Caitlin's victory, it was a victory for women's basketball overall. Women's sports had long struggled to get widespread recognition, frequently overlooked in favor of their male peers. Caitlin's performances made this difficult narrative in spite of her supremacy in Caitlin Clark's collegiate basketball game. The World Sports Award nominee is an uncommon recognition of basketball's historical global influence. Players, particularly women, have been passed over for worldwide recognition. For example, the World Sports Award has basketball players that are rarely acknowledged. The most recent noteworthy basketball champion was decades ago. Michael Jordan had more. LeBron James and Steph are examples of modern icons. Curry is not getting much attention these days. Legends are among this year's nominees. Simone Biles, from a variety of sports, the best gymnast of all time in gymnastics, renowned for her unparalleled talent, and Sean Hassan's course on mental toughness and compete in long-distance and marathon races. A legend who achieved epic triumphs in 2023. The world of Armand Duplantis P-Vault. Athletes smashing records, conquering his. Caitlin's pitch against such competition. Inclusion is revolutionary. Recognizes her as more than just an outstanding basketball player, but Caitlin, a world-class athlete, hasn't been free of obstacles. Her manner of the play has frequently been criticized for being too risky or ostentatious. Commentators challenge her defense and whether or not she was successful in college will convert to a professional or. Caitlin has played international basketball, but constantly used her to suppress her detractors. Displays her capacity to rise up in. Her distinctiveness lies in pivotal moments. She performs well under pressure by utilizing the criticism as a source of inspiration to get better. Whether it's making a game-winning hit or shot or serving as her team's leader during. Despite hardship, Caitlin continuously demonstrates her detractors are incorrect. This nomination isn't simply about her ability, it's evidence of the tenacity Caitlin Clark exemplifies. Basketball's future and her nominations indicates a change in the way Caitlin's perspective on women's sports. Nomination is not merely a private matter. Milestone is a positive step for many years, women's basketball has been a sport, has had difficulty earning the respect and acknowledgement it merits. Players such as both Maya Moore and Diana Taurasi-Bird have made it possible, but Caitlin's ascent symbolizes a new age. Her influence goes beyond the court. Caitlin has emerged as an inspiration for young athletes around the world, demonstrating that basketball for women can be equally as fascinating and powerful as men's. Nomination for the World Sports Award makes this message more powerful by reminding the world that women's athletics are worthy of the same regard and acknowledgement as we honor Caitlin Clark's amazing. One thing about Journey is that she is not only a basketball player, but also the nomination of Game Changer. Caitlin Clark is a game for the World Sports Award. Moment that changed the game, not just for her, but for the entire game of basketball to be acknowledged as one of the top 6 in the world. The sole basketball player among the athletes, and equally important at the collegiate level, is nothing less than remarkable. During Her admirers around the world are in awe of her abilities. This nomination enhances her status to a level much higher than cultural figure whose impact extends outside of the woods, but the path to such acknowledgement has not been simple, characterized by performances that broke records, disputations, and an indisputable influence on how women are viewed globally. 2023 sports. Caitlin Clark solidified, regarded as one of the most powerful historical figures in basketball, including capacity to lead her and score assists. Team expanded the scope of what was feasible at the every time she stepped on a college campus. The court documents were broken, and she exceeded expectations, scored over 1,000 points in a season. Solitude and success that put her in. She's in her own league with her three-point. Her court vision shooting was legendary. Her basketball IQ is unrivaled. As she grew older, analysts ran out of the best words to describe her performances, with many referring to her as the male basketball player with the most excitement, or women in decades. But this acknowledgement was more than simply numbers. Was about the times that Caitlin had the uncommon, the capacity to take front stage and deliver when it was most important. Her NCAA triple-double. The competition was more than simply a statistical accomplishment. It was a declaration that basketball for women wasn't only important. It was exciting, dynamic, and deserving of. The game attracted millions of views, which makes it among the most observed basketball games for women in. It was a pivotal moment in history, not just for Caitlin, but also for the sport. But not everyone witnessed her ascent to. Purely optimistic skeptics asked if a collegiate athlete ought to stand with international superstars such as Simone. Critics of Biles and Sifan Hassan argued that her achievements, notwithstanding innovative, were limited to the United States and did not have the international relocation of Olympic champions. This criticism, but only served to feed Caitlin's advocates, noted that she influence went well beyond the boundaries of the U.S. social. The media turned into a fan battleground, revealing her highlights, statistics, and conversations to demonstrate her value on the global stage. The overwhelming amount of backing she was given was evidence of her. The controversy's worldwide popularity on her ban from the United States Olympic basketball team for 2023 merely gave her story a new dimension. How could a player have this level of talent, influential, to be excluded from the roster? The official justification based on scheduling issues with training camps that are required. However, both observers and fans viewed this as a lost chance. The Olympic Games were deprived of one of the biggest names in basketball, a player who had the potential to bring in millions. It was a moment of fresh perspectives on the sport. Caitlin's irritation, but it also brought attention to the systemic issues female athletes frequently encounter, obstacles that Caitlin has become more and more outspoken about. Her World Cup nomination, then a sports award, is more than just appreciating her talent. It's a verification, is evidence of her influence surpasses the court, and her impact is being felt on a worldwide scale. For basketball for women, this recognition is a signal that is monumental, teaching young girls everywhere that their dreams are real because of their diligence can result in the highest level of recognition. Caitlin's journey has evolved into a beacon of inspiration and hope, launching a campaign to increase equity in sports in spite of the recognition, and the commend Caitlin for being grounded in those close to her frequently characterize her as modest, determined, and intensely competitive. She is the kind of player that invests hours spent honing her craft in the gym, never content with the past achievements. It is this hard ethic that keeps her apart from her peers and guarantees that her tale is far from finished. Yet, her career in showbiz is coming to an end, finalizing the options available to her. There is no limit to the future, whether it's in the WNBA as a global organization or as a worldwide representative for the sport. The impact of Caitlyn will only grow. To develop her narrative serves as a reminder of the ability of the media to influence and the legacy of the athlete in the digital age. Highlights of Caitlyn have reached millions of people, analyzed her performances and praised by admirers worldwide. Websites such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Talk has evolved into a continuation of her career, enabling her to communicate with a worldwide audience in ways that earlier generations of athletes could never use. Digital presence has had a crucial role in establishing her reputation and making sure that the influence is not limited to the United. Declares the nomination for the World Sports Award is the result of all of Caitlyn's has thus far accomplished, but it's also a springboard to even higher heights. Regardless of her success, her inclusion on this list alone is a triumph. It's a acknowledgement of her talent and tenacity. With her capacity to motivate millions of people, Caitlyn Clark is not merely she is a trailblazer and a basketball player, mentor, and a representation of what's conceivable when tents meet. Caitlyn's nomination presents an opportunity. Was a crucial period for women's sports as the battle for gender parity is still ongoing. Traditionally, women's basketball and, in general, women's sports have encountered systemic issues such as reduced compensation, less publicity, and fewer Caitlyn's sponsorship opportunities. These norms are challenged by achievement. Demonstrations have demonstrated that women's basketball has the ability to attract large crowds and produce a substantial amount of revenue. The NCAA tournament in 2023, led by Caitlyn, one of the most watched shows in historical evidence supporting the commercial. Additionally, the feasibility of women's sports. The nomination of Caitlyn for the World Sports Award conveys a strong message. The athletic accomplishments of women are simply as important as men's. This acknowledgement is an action to level the playing field and making certain that female sportsmen obtain the opportunities and respect they merit. The journey of Caitlyn Clark not been devoid of its share of one of the most contentious subjects is her exclusion from the United States Olympic basketball team for 2023. Caitlyn's stellar accomplishments notwithstanding, wasn't chosen, causing a lot of critique of the selection procedure. The main justification given was scheduling clash with required training camps, a choice that many believed was Caitlyn's blindness in excluding. The world was deprived by the Olympic team of seeing one of the best basketball players, renowned performers on the largest stage, but Caitlyn refused to let this failure define her. Rather, she utilized it as inspiration, providing some of the most noteworthy performances throughout her career. Her aptitude to triumph over hardship and demonstrate her worth is evidence of her moral fiber and tenacity. As Caitlyn's university career comes to an end, the query on everyone is wondering what the WNBA will do next is the apparent location, and Caitlyn is anticipated to be selected first in the draft. It is predicted that she will join the league to bring in new fans and be a game changer and raising awareness of the league. But the future of Caitlyn isn't just using her charisma in basketball, intellect, and capacity for motivation. She has the capacity to develop into an international sports ambassador, whether it's by charitable donations, endorsements, or advocacy. Caitlyn's impact is probably going to go well beyond the court. The World Sports Award nominee is only the start of what is expected to be a remarkable career as she keeps shattering stereotypes and redefining. Perhaps Caitlyn Clark is in a position to make a lasting impression on the world of athletics. As the ceremony for awards approaches, the excitement keeps growing. Fans of the build are excited to see if Caitlyn can overcome the odds and win the title irrespective of the result. It is evident that Caitlyn Clark has already won in her supporters' eyes. She's altered the discourse surrounding women's basketball, brought the game to a new level. Heights has demonstrated that she is one of the top athletes in the world of sports. Award is only one part of her narrative, tale that is expected to motivate and enchant for many years to come.